Jesus, in the past few weeks of our gospel readings, has been overturning basically every hierarchy of his time. He started out by overturning some of the temple hierarchies by healing the woman on the Sabbath. He overturned the inheritance hierarchies by correcting the young man who complained to him to have his brother split his inheritance with him. He overturned the household code as he honored Mary for sitting and instead of Martha for doing the work. And today he's talking to a whole crowd and doing the same thing, overturning the hierarchies of injustice of his time. When he talks about hating in this sense, it's not about actual hatred, it's about ordering of preference, ordering of priorities. And what he's saying is that we need to put our faith, put God, put our relationship with God first, and that orders everything else in our lives. Through the lens of faith, we see each other differently. We're in relationship differently. We see our families differently. We're able to see them more as the gift that they are than as the struggle it sometimes becomes when we're trying to get our kids up and ready for school and out the door on time and make breakfast for everyone and get the dishes done and then get to work and come home and do the dishes again because while we were gone we were more of them. And then try to get everyone ready for bed and get to bed and maybe get your 4.5 to 6 hours of sleep. Through the eyes of faith, we're reminded that this is a gift. That the time we have together is precious and fleeting. That what we have in one another is nourishment, love. And that what we need to be doing is cultivating those gifts of thankfulness and compassion that make us thrive in relationship. The message is the same throughout our readings today. The hands of the potter molding that clay. The prophets have been talking also in the past few weeks about turning people around from destructive ways of living that lead them into scarcity, that lead them into alienation, that lead them into hurting. This week, Anthony, my son, had to write an essay on some advice that he was given that's made a difference in his life. He really struggled with that. And it came down to something that I always told them, all three of them when they were little. Please think before you act. And he said that never made sense to him as a kid. And then one day we were out riding our bicycles, and his foot slipped and made a great cool noise on the spokes of his front wheel. That noise. He thought that was awesome. So a little while later, he decided to try it again, on purpose. His foot got stuck in the spokes, came running at the forks, and he went over his handlebars and landed in the street on his back. He remembers that feeling, all of it. He also remembers going to the emergency room and getting patched up with a broken foot, a broken elbow, a broken wrist, and a sprained wrist on the other side, and a broken tailbone. He said from then on he kind of got what I meant by think before you act. The stories in our scripture today are around that same idea. Not just thinking before we act, but slowing down enough to pray. So often throughout human history, prayer has been our last resort. Well, I've tried everything else. Let me just get down on my knees and beg for some help. And the prophets and Jesus are trying to teach us a different way of living. A way where we put prayer first and allow our faith to guide our decisions. Allow our faith to seep into those parts of our lives where we're trying to put up walls to protect ourselves, where we separate ourselves in alienation, where we look down on others for being different, where we prioritize career, money, paying the bills, life. Those are important things. through the lens of faith, it makes a big difference. God teaches us a way of living in this world that honors all people, that recognizes the dignity of every human being, that creates a level ground where everyone is equal before God because everyone is beloved by God. Through the eyes of faith, we see our world differently, and we respond differently. The season of creation is about looking at our world through God's eyes, remembering that the sacred space in which we walk, all of it is hallowed ground, because God is there. Each person we meet is holy and blessed because they are a child of God. This world seeks to dim that spark of the divine in each of us, often seeks to snuff it out entirely. Part of our work, part of our calling, is to rekindle that spark and flame, to reach out to those who are down, who are on the margins, who are being smothered by our world, to lift them up, draw them in, give them the help they need to thrive, to feel seen, to know that they matter. So yeah, the readings have been tough the past few weeks, but they're really important. Our world is hurting right now. And a big part of the solution is us. The way we go out into the world from this place and live our lives matters and makes a difference. Even if it's just one action and one life at a time. Going out and seeing someone who feels invisible. Going out and telling someone, you're amazing. Because each of us is amazing and unique. And so few of us hear that. And so on this second Sunday of creation, as we think before we act, may we also pray before we act. And find ourselves in a blessed company of the Christ that is amongst us in every community, of the Spirit that is amongst us, cheering us on, trying desperately to tell each of us, you're awesome, you're amazing. Shine brightly in this world. Our time is short together. The blessing of each other and the blessing of the gifts that we bring change lives and change the world.